Okay, so our piece of legislation is the Clean Air for All Act, which is based in the UK. It is a rather large law and covers a ton of different areas where pollutants are let into the environment. The transport sector is the biggest producer of nitrous oxide, so for our purposes, my group is going to focus on their acts on cars. As far back as the 1970s, Europe has been working towards progress on climate change.
Alors, je m'appelle Numa Sado. Je suis comédien, metteur en scène, écrivain. Mais en octobre 1971, j'étais étudiant et j'allais à Bruxelles, la Mecque pluvieuse de la bande dessinée, recueillir des interviews de cartoonistes pour un fanzine spécialisé. Mais incontestablement, le point culminant du voyage était de rencontrer Hergé.
Hergé, octobre 1971. Non, c'est bien, il est sensible, il est...
The Clean Air for All Act is built on three pillars. The first pillar further solidifies previous climate change laws, the second pillar attempts to reduce emissions, and the third pillar wants to target the main causes of air pollution. Europe is making several steps to help climate change, but I'm going to turn it over to Tegan to give a quick background check into America.
Thanks, Martine. On May 19, 2009, President Obama announced a historic national policy that would help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve the fuel economy for vehicles categorized that were responsible for almost 60% of all the U.S. transportation related to the greenhouse gas emissions. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, they analyzed the standards under consideration are the projects to reduce greenhouse gases by approximately 900 million metric tons and save 1.8 billion barrels of oil over the life of the program. But since Trump came into office, that has changed. And I'm going to let Morgan talk about that more.
Thank you, Tegan. During Mr. Trump's first year in office, air pollutants such as carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and two measures of particulate matter pollution tracked by the Environmental Protection Agency increased in 2017. The Associated Press reported that there are 15% more days with unhealthy air in the United States in both 2017 and 2018 than on the average from 2013 to 2016. And in 2017 and 2018, there were nearly 140 times when a city's air pollution reached the worst two categories, which are very unhealthy and hazardous, when the air quality index greater than 200. That's more than 2.5 times the average of nearly 55 from 2013 to 2016. 532 American metro areas reported a total of 4,134 days in 2018 when the National Air Quality Index passed 100. That's about 15% more bad air days per city than the average from 2013 to 2016. America's clean air heyday. This can be unhealthy for people who are very young, the elderly, and people with heart and lung disease. About 100,000 Americans die each year prematurely because of polluted air. Now Martine will talk about the procedures Europe is implementing for the Clean Air Act.
Here are a couple procedures Europe is implementing to help enforce the Clean Air for All Act. They're releasing packages with a nitrous oxide test to make sure all types of cars and vehicles are emitting the proper amount of emissions.
Measures for promoting better integrated and cleaner public transport for shifting long distance from road to rail and inland waterways have also been put into place. Europe is trying to shift to low and zero emissions vehicles through the new CO2 emission standards for cars and vans via public transport.
The EU has set a limit of nitrous oxide in hopes of letting less of it into the environment. Unfortunately, many places do not meet this requirement, but they are making progress. Countries that are more densely populated have additional measures put on them to ensure they meet these standards, such as putting up sampling points in the highest polluted areas.
Meetings by the EU are being scheduled regularly, discussing policies on what they could do to help with the environment. Now I'm going to let Morgan say what's going on in the US again.
Unlike the EU, our government has weakened the standards set for car emissions. The Trump administration instated the Safer, Affordable, Fuel-Efficient Vehicles Final Rule for model years 2021 to 2026, which will increase carbon dioxide emission standards for the national automakers by 1.5% a year through the model year 2026. U.S. Secretary of Transportation Department said in a statement, by making newer, safer, and cleaner vehicles more accessible for American families, more lives will be saved and more jobs will be created. But consumer organizations, environmental groups, and the Environmental Protection Agency's Scientific Advisory Board have raised concerns about this rationale, saying the weakened standards will lead to dirtier air and cost consumers at the gas pump long term. Mr. Trump also turned down the Paris Agreement, which was an agreement to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by keeping a global temperature rise in this century well below 2 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase.
This graph shows the levels of nitrogen dioxide from the year 2000 to 2019. When Obama was in office, the levels had gradually decreased. In 2019, when Trump was in office, it spiked even higher than before.
These graphs show the levels of various elements in Europe. Elements such as particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon monoxide, and other various elements. Since the Clean Air Act began in 2013, these levels have decreased, helping the environment. Specifically, levels in the two main pollutants, particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide, have decreased since establishing the Clean Air for All Act.